on travel towards new education horizon.
Is the screen visible now?
I request Dr. P. Sarubarani, Assistant Professor, School of Commerce, to welcome the gathering. Ma'am, kindly. Honorable Chief Guest.
Is the screen visible now?
Principal.
Yes, sir.
School of Commerce. And my dear friends, morning
Oh, screen. Sir,
our
not sir.
college not only focuses on education to the students, but also
What I asking to share
consists to
screen
enhance
is
the qualities of the faculty.
sharing.
As a part of that, we are conducting the 7 days faculty development program on travel towards new education horizon. We are in the 6th day of FDP conducted by School of Commerce, KPR CAS. Today we are going to discuss the topic of qualitative research. The development of any fields such as
Is my first slide visible for you?
research, etc. is
No,
made
sir.
possible by means of qualitative research.
Yes, sir.
Research.
Okay, what I'll do,
Research
I'll
is to see
log out
what
and then log in.
everybody else
Okay.
has seen.
Okay, sir.
And to think what nobody else has thought already. Dhanasumi has pointed out. With this quote, I am entering the custom of welcoming. It is an instant of incredible privilege and honor for me to welcome you all on behalf of KPR CAS to this memorable 7 days FDP. It is a moment of extreme pleasure to welcome our beloved principal, Dr. S. Baluswamy sir, who accents inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more. You are our leader, sir. We are very happy to welcome for our School of Commerce FDP program. I am profoundly delighted to take an opportunity to welcome our Chief Guest, Dr. P.S. Murugan sir, our Chief Guest, Associate Professor and Head Dean in charge School of Legal Studies, Central University of Tamil Nadu, who is going to deliver the speech on qualitative methods of research. On behalf of KPR CAS and management, I welcome you, sir. We are honored to have you with us, sir. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to our Dean Ma'am, Dr. Kumuda Devi, who generously helped us make this event come together to become a successful one. I welcome you, ma'am. It gives me great pleasure to welcome our FDP coordinator, Dr. P. Kartika ma'am, who made this FDP possible with her opinions and views. Welcome you, ma'am. We also have a very special presence of Dr. Prasad sir and Dr. N. Ganeshan sir, who is coming with our first day of journey for this FDP program. I wholeheartedly welcome you, sir. Your blessings and support will give more strength to us to reach good heights. I especially want to welcome our colleagues from School of Commerce and other departments. Welcome you all. I'm sure that you all will feel enriched with research knowledge after completion of this session. Once again, I bid a very warm welcome to Honorable Sankhya. Thank you for giving this opportunity to work on the gathering. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am, for your detailed welcome note. Now, I call upon Dr. B. Kannamai, Associate Professor, School of Commerce, to introduce our chief guest. Ma'am, kindly.
Fine morning. Fine morning to all the dignitaries.
Fine morning to all the dignitaries. I have a very pleasant duty of introducing our chief guest, Dr. Murugan P.S. Dr. Murugan P.S. needs no introduction. He is a very well known and one of the most distinguished person. If the occasion demands, and here it is in brief. He is a Fulbright postdoctoral fellow and also Dean in charge, School of Legal Studies, Central University of Tamil Nadu, and former Dean, School of Commerce and Management, CUTN. Presently, he is an associate professor and head Department of Commerce, CUTN. He is a nodal officer, Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, CUTN, student placement officer for the entire CUTN. He is a very popular academician in South India, especially in Pondicherry, Tamil Nadu, and Karnataka. He is a member in various board of studies in various universities and colleges. He published
50 plus articles, both national and international level. And also, he authored more than 10 books. He has produced
including somebody important like Prashant Kishore, who is your political opponent in the election.
He has produced 6 PhD and 12 MPhil candidates. He received several awards from commerce discipline, also awarded Fulbright Nehru Postdoctoral Research Fellowship by United States Indian Educational Foundation, and also he received UGC Research Award 2016-18. He was honored Senior Research Fellow. He achieved 2 patent rights on intellectual property India. He served as a resource person for UGC, Human Resource Development Center, both in Pondicherry and Bharathasan University. Despite of all his career achievements, he is an excellent personality and who has willfully accepted our invitation. Sir, I express my heartfelt thanks for
Thank you
your
so much.
presence.
Thank you for your.
Thank you, sir.
Can I proceed now?
Yes, sir.
Right. Most respected principal of APR College of Arts and Science, Dr. Palasamy, Dean School of Commerce, Dr. Buddha Devi, the coordinator of this faculty development program, Dr. Kritika, faculty members of Department of Commerce, KPR College of Arts and Science, participants in this program, my dear student Anshad and others were also participating in this faculty development program. Very good morning to one and all. As I always say, if not COVID, this opportunity to meet you actually would not have arisen for us. So, in a way, there is a positive side of this pandemic where it has given a lot of opportunity for virtual interaction, particularly for academicians. You know, we meet virtually a lot of academicians, lot of deliberations, lot of interactions going on. In fact, which would not have happened face to face in an offline mode. Today, uh, on the 6th day of this faculty development program, I'm honored and feel so proud that the KPR College has given me an opportunity to talk on qualitative methods of research. In fact, when uh, there was like say the college approached me for a topic on research, I willfully preferred to talk on qualitative aspects. As you all know, many research. Uh,
Going there. I'm into bad.
Can I
Can
continue?
anything. Going to home. I with my friend.
Can I continue? Some disturbance. Admit kindly mute others so that I can proceed. As you all know, many researchers are participating in this program, virtual program. And if you closely look at your MPhil or PhD level research, you would observe your own research, your friends' research, your colleagues' research would have based upon available, I mean, a database research where a lot of data is already available, have been already available, particularly from the secondary source, or if it be a primary source, for example, where it will be, like, say, quantified. Many of you would have taken research activities based on data which is already available, and you would have tried to interpret, analyze, and come to a conclusion on based on the data. Okay, a lot of, I would say, even if say in our own particular commerce management, in our own field for that matter, if 100 PhDs are produced in our region, you could be able to very well see that most of the research is on based on the availability of data, which is an existing data, and just we try to interpret the data. Okay, that is. I'm not saying that's also a scientific way, very well established way of research. But what I feel is that we need to move on to from a quantitative based to a qualitative based research. But as I told earlier just now, but what is actually happening is not so. Most of us, including me, for my MPhil and PhD those days, I took that's a quantitative based research. But now, looking at the issues that we face, looking at the like say the thesis which is sleeping in almiras, the thesis which is lying idle in the bookshelves. What is the use of doing such a research? I personally felt that we need to move on and we need to give more importance to quality-based research because actually there could be some significant contribution from our side to the society. That is the need for highlighting, for choosing this topic for, like say, in this faculty development program. Now, like say, very recently, if you closely would have watched for the past 1 year, the instructions that is coming from UGC and MHRD on the quality of research, this particular topic gains more importance because they are time and again insisting. They even came out with a policy of evaluating the PhD thesis which have been published for the past 10 years. If they are very serious about that, and if we are going to do a due diligence on the thesis which has been produced for the past 10 years, then there is going to be a serious issue because PhD is produced in this country, particularly from our own domain. Most of the time, it goes meaningless. Why? Because we are choosing topics. What sort of you have to listen at what sort of research is going on among the in the academic institutions among us. Most of us, if you closely watch, we talk about you have to genuinely, honestly accept this, and you also can also think over what is research. Most of us do a research on say for example stock market behavior. What is like say what has happened to the behavior of a stock of say TCS for that matter, Infosys for that matter, or Nifty as such, Sensex as such. Most of us do research on the existing data which is available in CMI, which is available in Prowess. We just like say pay some money or like say spend few days collecting the data. If you are a very serious researcher and if you are really knowledgeable, doing a quantitative based research using the existing data that is available, I will challenge. If you give me 1 month, I will produce one PhD. What is that? Few days in downloading the data, or the few days for purchasing data. In fact, and a few days if I have some enough knowledge myself for that matter. Particularly if I use I have my own knowledge on using the statistical tools, I'm putting using the tools to some extent. Maybe 2 weeks for using the for doing the analysis, and a week or so for interpreting the results and drawing some conclusion. Exactly, if you give 1 month, like say without any other assignment, I can produce a PhD. But that is not the research which is required for this country. That is not the research which is required for the country because most of us are trying to interpret a data which is already available and which on that too on a topic which is who bothers about what happens to like say for example stocks of Infosys or stock of for example what we call the Reliance for that. What is that your research is going to contribute? However, but if you look at the research that is going on in commerce and management, if on the 100 thesis, 90 are like that. Most of them are using the existing data and just coming to a conclusion, and the thesis will be lying in the Almira and shelf. When a lot of other issues are there in the society, where a lot of other, I'm not talking about an issue like the COVID pandemic, a lot of other potential areas for research in commerce, in management, our own domain. Thousands and thousands of areas are there left unresearched, which require some valid solution from intellectuals like us, like educated persons like us. The society needs some solution. The businesses is looking for solution, which is untouched, which requires a qualitative research rather than a quantitative research. That is the reason why I have chosen this topic. I have to sensitize you in this faculty development program. Go, if at all you have an opportunity to take up, if, for example, if you are not a PhD holder, take up a research which could significantly contribute to the society. I have given some examples over here. Maybe like it's only an example, but I am going to give you a lot of marketing related examples, HR related examples, finance related examples, where actually you can take up qualitative research rather than quantitative research. What is actually happening in the society, if you closely observe, a lot of serious issues are there which require some solution. Unemployment is a problem. Employability skills of the youth is a problem. Farmer suicides is a problem. Pandemics, epidemics are a big problem. Society, if you closely watch, alcoholism is a problem. HIV is a problem. Why do businesses actually fail? Why do products fail? Why do businesses get closed? A lot of issues are there for which there is may not be. If you closely want to take up, okay, I log into a particular website, I wanted to get out the failure of a particular product. You may not be able to get that, provided if you switch over from the quantity-based research to a quality-based research, you can definitely come out some valuable solutions for it. To the issues which is faced by the society. So many social problems are there in India. I'm not talking about the entire world, even entire country for that matter. If you are much concerned, if you can be really concerned about the society, you can even narrow down your research to your own state. For example, Tamil Nadu. So I'm from Pondicherry. I can say concentrate my work on Pondicherry. Involve with the society, identify the issues in the society, and try to do some research. I have mentioned some, many issues here which can be taken up from a social science point of view. Similarly, a lot of now there is a big transformation that is happening in the qualitative research, which started with initially for some 70 years before with the school education. With the school education, so particularly applied for education purpose, and then it came for societal application. Now, a lot of businesses are using qualitative research to understand, to understand the real issues behind whatever, their businesses are facing. Now I'm exactly moving on with this brief introduction. I'm exactly moving on to the qualitative research, which I want you to closely observe. No, wherever time requires, wherever a situation arises, I'll be briefing you the exact the reason, and I'll give you the explanation for the particular issue. The qualitative research is a type. First, it is again. We are not if you Google it, you can find quantitative research is a scientific research. The definition will start like that, but equally, 100% equally, qualitative research is also a scientific research, and it's a valid tool for investigating when you want to seek an answer for a question. Systematically use a predefined set of procedures, collects evidence, produces findings, and produces findings that are applicable beyond the immediate boundaries of the study. If you just for example, you take up two aspects. For example, it is a scientific research. It seeks to answer for a question. It collects evidence and tries to interpret. Now you may ask me a question, sir. Does it not apply for quantitative research? Yes. Going by the definition, definitely. If you look at the work, the process that is going to be implemented in quantitative research and qualitative research, exactly the same. Okay, we are trying to use the research in both the aspects for finding a solution for a problem, and we will be looking out for some evidences. We will be evidences in the sense for in the other case it will be data. We will be analyzing the data to come to a result. But additionally, what is applicable for qualitative research is that it seeks to understand a given research problem or topic from the perspective of the local population. Okay, understand from the perspective of the local population. That's what I said. If you take up a research on, say, for example, Reliance Industries, okay, what is the profitability of Reliance Industries. And that has a very, very, very broad 1 and 0. 0, that's it. So we'll be concentrating more on like non-numerical data. You may wonder now, sir, how come there may be non-numerical data and can it be used for research? That is our mindset. We were educated like that. We were molded in such a way that some data, some tools has to be there for 100 pages of analysis, and then with the 2-3 pages of findings and 1 page of suggestion. We are molded like that. Not necessarily a research can be carried out in that way. It can be carried out with qualitative research, with the serious real life inquiry into the problems faced by the society, faced by the businesses. So qualitative research really focuses on the human behavior from a participant's point of view. Okay, the participant is the researcher. Who is the participant? Participant is the researcher, and as well as the respondent, who is going to be like the part of the team. Okay, you will be in the process and gather information. There are 3 major focus areas for the qualitative research. It can be individuals. Okay, you can concentrate on individual, or it can be a society and its culture, and language and communication. These are the broader areas where you can do a qualitative research on whatever aspect it takes. Okay. So from earlier it was like say social sciences, mostly education started with. Now like say qualitative market research for products is happening. Even journalism businesses are using qualitative research. If you have some contact with the research department of big businesses, if you ask them what is that they are really doing, now there is a big transformation in their process. They are involving in qualitative research. Types, I will tell you later what are the types which can be adopted. Now, the research data. What will be the size? I said the non-numerical data. What is non-numerical? It's not going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that. Some non-numerical data is going to be there. Okay. So, research using qualitative, the qualitative methods, the data will be something like text, pictures, and not numbers. Okay, it can be a statement which you collect. Say, for example, you are there now as a researcher. You are there in a mall, big mall, which has a very good, say, departmental store for that. You are there for a long time because qualitative research requires extended period of research where you have to involve it. You find a particular, like say, age group of ladies coming into the departmental store and not picking up a particular product. Okay, that is the observation. So is coming and not picking the product. So and so came at this point of time. The age group or something like that is not picking up a particular product. Okay, that will be the type of data because it's going to be a narrative. Okay, you are going to narrate the whole thing. Okay, it's experimental and you are like you will be, it's an exploratory one. You will be observing and you will be narrating the whole story. Okay, data. That is data. That is a research type of research in qualitative research. And it can be an interview or like say personal experiences. It can be documents, the stories about life. It can be personal observations, which I just told you, and interactions with the customers. Or the researcher's personal impression or let's say perception about a particular incident that is happening in the society, what has happened in the society, okay, related to a social phenomenon or a business phenomenon for that matter. But it should be based on a fact or an occurrence of the event. Okay, really what you observed, what you found there, what has been narrated by a participant, that so something has happened. And in its natural settings, very, very important in these natural settings, which means without your involvement, researchers' involvement, you cannot sit in your college office room and do a research or sitting under a tree doing research. Those days are gone now, which means it has to be in the natural settings based on the occurrence of the event. The research types in qualitative research. Broadly, it's participant observation, in-depth interviews, and focus group interviews. So first, I'll surround basic information which I want to give some information for you. Participant observation is appropriate for collecting data for naturally occurring behaviors in their usual context, which means like the rapporteur, you will be the researcher will be in the place. Okay, say for example, particular some event is happening, 1 or 2 days, a business event, trade fair or exhibition is there, like organized in Coimbatore. Okay, the researcher will be there in the situation and just report what has happened there as a participant. Okay, how many visitors, what are the type of visitors, age group of visitors, what they spoke there, what were the type of conversation. Okay, how many of them, like say, conclude the deal? How many of them went without making the deal? Okay, like that, if you do it, if it's the participant observation, that is also a research. Focus groups, and you can, in this area, you have to, like say, choose your own group which you are going to do research. There can be a cultural norms of the group, issues concerned with the cultural group. For example, say Coimbatore. Now you all know about. I don't want to make a political statement. Okay, yeah, let's say a lot of cultural groups are there. We call it, they call Kumbu, not Kumbu, this, that, lot of issues are there. But why do? It's also major issue which for which you can be doing research. What is the preferences, tastes of the particular subgroup? If we talk about Coimbatore, what is that? Why not in other say subgroups? Okay, all these things can be part of your research. If for in-depth interview, it requires certain interview skills for the researcher for collecting data, because they are going to work with the individual person's histories and perspectives and experience, particularly when sensitive topics are considered. For example, I quoted alcoholism and terrorism. Forget about terrorism now. For example, we talk about alcoholism. Say, for example, yesterday, very good, just 2 days back, very interesting financial data has come. It is from a very famous analyst about Tamil Nadu. Many of us are talking about, like, say, Tamil Nadu is depending upon TASMAC revenue, which is an alcohol, liquor-based revenue. Other part is that the way the revenue from alcohol, sale of alcohol has increased. On the other side, a big social issue has come, which means the government expenditure on health aspects of Tamil Nadu, I mean the population of Tamil Nadu has significantly increased, which means a lot of cancer cases has come because of alcoholism, which means later it's actually a burden on the government of Tamil Nadu, which means for several thousand crores has to be spent on healthcare and medical facilities to the population, which means though the revenue rises, on the other side, it is impacting the revenue base of the government on the other side. So, which means it is nullified. What is the purpose of revenue, increasing the revenue through TASMAN? So, which can be identified only by in-depth interview. Catch hold of why alcoholists, I say, intoxicated person who have the habit of, even drunkards for that. Study why, what makes them to drink, and what are the health issues which they face. 10 alcohol drunkards, you will come out with a very, very wonderful research. You can, whatever, say, experts from so-called economic experts of the world, just we could be able to sensitize the government by doing in-depth interview. I'm just taking alcoholism only for example, analogy, just for briefing you. Several issues can be taken. Okay? Yes, a lot of things can be analyzed. Have you ever analyzed why our toothpaste companies like Colgate, who are famous one, they all switch over to something like Vedic or let's say our Siddha-based toothpaste? Have you observed them? They are all moved. The taste, the flavor, the ingredients, the inputs, they all categorically they are moved from to a Siddha-based ingredient. What made them? Why? Is it based on a qualitative research or quantitative research? Definitely, there should be some component of qualitative research where they understood that the chemical-based toothpaste, the days are gone. It has done great damage to the oral health of individuals. Now to the qualitative data forms, the data types can be, say, when you interact with the population. I said it is you can mobile, you can record, like say, you can transcribe, or you can convert it into black and white, take notes, statements. All these things can be the data, which can be interpreted, used for interpretation and a logical writing of the entire narrative. Okay, it all depends upon the expertise of the researcher. Now, what are the advantages of qualitative methods of exploratory research? What are the advantages? I'm going to not too much. There are hundreds of advantages, I would say, but I'm going to sensitize you on few advantages, because for want of time we cannot go on to a large number of advantages. One advantage of qualitative method of is the use of open-ended questions. There is no closed-ended questions. For example, do you use Colgate toothpaste? Yes or no? Yes or no. That's the answer. Not that. Not such. Okay. Not that way. It's going to be open-ended questions. Okay. What is your daily routine? How do you, like say, clean your tooth? Whatever, something like that. Okay. How do you take care of your oral health? That's it. A lot of answers will come from the society. I take neem sticks, sir. I take, let's say, some more the banyan tree, something like that. I started buying this, like say, toothpaste for past 10 years. I switched on. Later, I had some problem. I moved back to neem sticks, something like that. Okay. These are all going to be very big narrative in the society. So we'll be using only open-ended questions, because it has a lot of reasons, meaningfully and culturally salient to the participant, unanticipated to the researcher, rich and explanatory in research. Very good explanation you get from the response that is given by the person who is responding to the question. Another major advantage is that it gives allows the researcher the flexibility to probe, which means you can like after the person answering, after listening to you for 10-15 minutes, the whole story, you just ask one question: how do you maintain your oral health? Okay, lot of stories you used to tell. When I go for let's say morning routine, I used to do that, is that, all these things. Then you ask him, like, what was that earlier? உங்க அப்பா அப்படிதான் யூஸ் பண்ணாரா? உங்க குடும்பத்துல எப்படிங்க? மூதாதையர்லாம் எப்படி செஞ்சீங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு, I mean, if you closely probe, slowly you can poke on, ask one by one. You can, that flexibility is there. Excellent advantage of our qualitative research. Slowly you can gain more and more access to the other issues related to his oral health, which is possible only by the qualitative research. And probing gives participants the opportunity to respond in their own words, their local language, dialect. Interestingly, they describe the whole situation. I used a particular brand of toothpaste for the past 10 years, 15 years. When I go to cinema hall, that advertisement comes. That particular actress used that paste. I also started following that. Ultimately, see, sir, I lost 4 or 5 of my tooth. Very good. Interesting outcome. This is what is the way you mingle with them. It is definitely not going to be possible in quantitative research. Forget about that. All these things, real life scenarios can be extracted only by qualitative research. Okay, then in this research there are some expectations. The researcher must listen carefully. Okay, which means he has to observe, because it is in a local setting. He has to observe. And if not, he cannot, let's say, for example, some language issues are there, definitely you can take some assistance for interpretation, for observing. That facility is there. Engage with them according to their individual personalities and strengths. How to, which means live like a Roman when in Rome. Wanted to observe, get the exact details from the society. You have to, அந்த மக்கள் மாதிரியே மாறிட வேண்டியதுதான். அவங்களோட வாழ்க்கையோட மிங்கிள் ஆகிட்டு தான் அந்த எக்ஸாக்ட் உண்மை நிலையை தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும். If you go with the full, let's say, formal dressing, with coats, full pakka, let's say, polished shoes, the situation will vary. Definitely, they are going to treat you as an alien and not give the exact details which they want. So, which means you need to involve with the individual personalities and strengths and use probes wherever required and encourage them to elicit the results. Okay, go with them to the fields, go with them to the workplace, involve with their family, and extract the reasons for a particular issue. The purpose of qualitative research. So there are four basic purposes. One is describe, interpret, verify, and evaluate. What is description? The nature of certain relationship situations, the family situation of example. I have taken the for some time. I'm using the alcoholics. I'm continuing with that. The family situation of the alcoholic. Describe what is the family situation of the alcoholic. Okay, say the family of four. Say sorry, six of them: husband, wife, and four children. And the husband is a alcoholic drunkard from for since marriage is drinking. Okay, and wife she is uneducated, illiterate female, married for the past 10 years, and she for the past 10-15 years, and she's like maybe a housemaid, earning say a few thousands and running the family, having two children or three children, age group of 1 to 10. Describe, interpret, understanding the reason for poverty in other. The lady earns few thousands, and this fellow takes away that money without earning and spends it for in taskmark for that matter, leaving very few like say bucks for the family, for the lady housewife to spend for the family. Verify, example, checking whether the belief that there is poverty among the drunkard's family. How do you verify? Is it only with the particular family of six because the person is drunkard? Or is it so, the phenomena is so in other parts of the same village? You need to verify. How will you verify? You have to catch hold of free road drunkards. Go near the taskmark shop. Just stand there. Watch the behavior of drunkards, catch hold of few of them. And then go to their family, go to their house, to their locality, and check whether such a poverty is there in other families also. Yes or no. You can be able to identify in similar situations. Evaluate. Example, some researchers have suggested the providing psychological counseling for alcoholics would bring good results, checking its value. Earlier, some research would have said, yes, there are a lot of drunkards, number of drunkards is increasing. And if you give psychological treatment, everyone will stop drinking. Is it true? And even now, this is a real example which I'm telling you. In media, whenever there is a debate on, let's say, in Tamil news channels on taskmark revenue, whether to close down taskmarks, reduce the number of shops, etc. They tell there will be always one expert who supports and telling that psychological counseling is enough, something like that. It's his own observation, which is not true. Then you have to verify whether really psychological counseling helps, or evaluate whether it helps or not. Okay? This is the work which you are going to do in any type of, there are types of phenomenological research, action research, case study based research, narrative research, okay, grounded research. A lot of types are there. Time permits, I'm going to take you to the whole scenario. But in whatever scenario, when you do qualitative research, you will be describing, interpreting, verifying, and evaluating the evolution of quality. How qualitative research evolved. Okay, was it sudden or like why? I'm 2-3 times I mentioned that now it has some business applications, not some enormous business applications in marketing, HR, like say production. Everywhere there is a application of qualitative research. Okay, how did this evolution happen? Okay, it happened in social science. Later, like say, to study social, cultural, and oriented phenomena. And now there is an increased interest which is shown by qualitative research for areas like management, medicine, marketing, So this evolution is happening, and as a very, like say, I'm evaluating thesis, I'm like say addressing many students, scholars on research methodology, almost. Okay. This is the current trend. Many researchers who have the opportunity to do a PhD or a postdoctoral research, mostly in postdoctoral, a very important thing which I know because I'm a postdoctoral a long time back I did. Now, many of them who are gaining interest in postdoctoral research, they are trying to very serious researchers because at their PhD level or MPhil level, no one would advise them to go take up a qualitative based research. Okay, now they are showing this interest because they are settled. They are like say very so in the state in the society they are doctorates. But when coming to postdoctoral research, now they are showing interest in qualitative. The qualitative research, choosing some methods and types from the qualitative research. That trend I'm just noticing nowadays. Sampling. What type of sampling would be there in qualitative research? It would be a little bit of different way to like the research in the methodology which we use in our quantitative method. We have small difference which we notice in our qualitative research is that even if it were possible, it is not necessary to collect data from everyone in the society. Say, for example, you go to a village and only 30 households are there, 30 households are there in society. It is definitely possible, maybe possible for us to do a qualitative research on to take the entire population of 30 households. Not necessarily. You can, based on your own research requirements, because here we are talking about individuals basically in a natural setting, okay, and the participation of the researcher, excluding research, it's not excluding researcher, this virtual teaching process which is going on now is face-to-face, okay, like our let's say on-campus teaching, no, something like that. So we need to involve. May not be that time may not permit for you to go for to mingle with all the localites in the particular village. You can narrow down your sample. So that's why we got come to use sampling in qualitative research. The three popular methods we use in qualitative research is purposive sampling, quota sampling, and snowball sampling. Very simple. Purposive sampling, quota sampling, and snowball sampling. I'll be explaining you one by one. Basically, the difference between, I'm going to explain you the three things. Why do we, like mostly if you look at quota sampling and purposive sampling, it may sound same and the process may look like one and the same. Both seek to identify participants based on selected criteria. What we do in quota, we are, like say, for example, if you wanted to go with 100 responses, basically, you all know, based on gender, we divide 50 male, 50 female. So, quota 50 is the quota for male, 50 is the quota for female. Okay, that's a valid tool actually. That is a valid method of sampling. Nothing wrong in that. Say for example, HIV patients, 50 male, 50 female. If for purposes sampling, same it is the extended version of like say the quota sampling where you may not be able to do research with because it's real life involvement. A lot of other issues will be there. You may narrow down to 5 male and 5 female, okay, or you may take up a total 10 samples in which 7 males, 3 females, something like that, depending upon your requirement and depending upon your other restrictions, where we call it a purposes sampling, okay. And mostly, if you take up, look at the research that is going on in qualitative method, mostly it will be purposes sampling. They even narrow down from quota sampling to purpose sampling because of the requirements for the researcher. He or she will usually prefer to go for a purpose sampling, which means he chooses a village, chooses a natural setting, chooses few individuals with whom he can involve. The purpose sampling is like according to the pre-selected criteria relevant to a particular research question. It can be, for example, HIV infected men in Coimbatore. I made this slide for Coimbatore, that's why I mentioned, but it doesn't mean that, like say, Coimbatore has a HIV, lot of HIV. It's not so. Only for example and analogy, I am using the word Coimbatore, don't mistake. Because the college is in Coimbatore, I am using it. Okay, and sample sizes depend upon the resources and the time available. Say, for example, you can spend 1 year in the particular locality, say 2 years for the particular locality. Your research period is 3 years for the matter. You want to restrict that, you can narrow down the numbers. That is why we call them in as a particular research, and nothing wrong in that, as long as that you have your research is in line with your focus area. Nothing wrong in that. Coming to the quota sampling, like you all know, as I told you, it can be quota can be based on gender, quota can be based on age group, quota can be based on like say income level of the participants. Quota level can be on any, say for example, the caste groups, creed. The entire society is divided. We all know. Okay, so based on the divisions in which we find in the heterogeneity of the society, we can go for allocating quota for each and every subgroups. For example, age, place, gender, class, profession, marital status, etc. And to focus on people who likely have experience, know about the research topic. For example, we were talking about alcoholism. Okay, and there is a locality which is situated. There is a very famous temple. Let us assume Perur Sivan Koil வச்சுக்கோங்களேன். பேரூர் சிவன் கோயில் இருக்கக்கூடிய பக்கத்துல இருக்கக்கூடிய 4 மிகப்பெரிய சாலை தெரு இருக்கு இல்லையா? யூ மோஸ்ட்லி பாத்தீங்கன்னா டெண்டன்சி எப்படி இருக்குன்னா, பெரிய ஒரு லைக் ஒரு சிவன் கோயில் கூட நான் சொல்ல விரும்புறேன், பட் ஒரு பிளேஸ் ஆஃப் ஃபெய்த் இருக்குன்னா நியர்பை இருக்கு. மோஸ்ட் ஆஃப் த நியர்பை ஹவுஸ் ஹோல்ட்ஸ் they have a lot of ethical values in them. They may not, these societal issues may not impact them because their interest and devotion is of different type. However, away from that particular place, there is a particular locality infected by a lot of societal issues. So, place also matters, but however, what is the important thing is that whomever you are going to do, say for example, do a research on that particular locality or the participant, the research, they should be sensitized on the research topic. Okay, that is very, very important. They should know on what topic you are going to do your research. And so ultimately, we in the sense, the researcher has to go to the community using the recruitment strategy. Recruitment means participant strategies. Who are going to take part in the, like say, in the interview, in the entire research process. Okay, that is the excellent another scientific method who to be included in the entire interview process. In the interview, I mean the research process. The third type is the snowball sampling. Snowball is nothing but, like say, like a snowball which emerges at the top of the hill. When it rolls down, the size of the snowball goes bigger and bigger. When it reaches the ground, you could see a massive, very big, like say, the size of the ball will be bigger. So likewise, you start with your research without going for any quota or choosing, like say, a particular population, particular individuals for the matter. Go with one or few, and later by probing when you do the exercise, I mean the research exercise with the individuals, slowly you can increase your population or increase your sample size based on the need and the references from the individuals who are responding to the issue. For example, alcoholic person would have responded, sir, இந்த லொக்கத்துல 2-3 பேர் தான் குடிக்காரங்க இருக்காங்க. ஐயோ, அந்த ஊருக்கு பாருங்க சுத்தமா எல்லாருமே குடிக்கிறாங்க. அப்ப நீங்க கேட்கலாம், சரி சார், எந்த ஊர் பா? அவங்க வந்து இன்னும் 2 கிலோமீட்டர் போகணும். பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு பக்கத்துலயே ஒரு டாஸ்மாக் கடை இருக்குதுங்க. பக்கத்துலயே டாஸ்மாக் கடை வந்து எல்லாருமே குடிக்காரங்க மாட்டாங்க. This information would not have known to you unless otherwise you met that particular the front runner or the first respondent which you know. From them you can increase your size, which we call the snowball sampling, which is a very interesting method when we use in qualitative research, which we call it as, often we call it as hidden population. And the population, but you may not have any idea about it, but slowly we can include them into the process. Just you understand. Now, a lot of difference between quantitative research and qualitative research, starting from the focus, philosophy, method, goal, designs. A lot of areas are there which makes a clear distinction between the quality for the time point of view and from other aspects. A few aspects I'm going to touch upon. Okay, focus is on qualitative. Quantitative research is on quantity. Here the focus is on quality, quality, quality. Because I insist, when you see the word quality, exactly your research is going to be a quality research, because the researcher's personal involvement will be there in each and every aspect of the entire thesis, entire research work. Okay. Goal will be like in quantitative research, it will be prediction, hypothesis testing. As I told you, they will frame hypothesis and start using collect data and start using various statistical tools, hypothesis used for testing hypothesis, and come out with the result. Whereas here in qualitative research, it will be like say understanding the real issues and the meaning of a real issue. Okay, from which hypothesis can be formed on a later stage. The design in quantitative research will be structured. Okay, you have let's say if you say 100-question questionnaire, everything will be structured. What this, that, everything will be very predetermined. And whereas here it is flexible. 100% it is flexible. You can go with the assumption, with the idea, with some sort of preset in your mind. Whereas in the locality, when you go for the testing or for doing with your idea, but you find a different answer, different setup, different response, which is totally away from what you thought about the behavior of the society, behavior of the individual group. In qualitative research, immediately you can switch over and move to the other part. It doesn't mean that you will forego, you will lose whatever the research you have done earlier. It will also be part of your research where you can narrate that this was my understanding, this was my sample group. When I interviewed for it, this was the early responses. From the early responses, a deviation was found in a particular setting, and then the research pursues in the new line, new path, new road. The entire thing will be a research, which is not possible in your quantitative research. Okay, so very good example for why you wanted to choose qualitative research. Sample will be large, random, and representation will be there in quantitative research. Whereas in your qualitative research, the sample will be small and purposeful, very, very small. Even in some cases, in grounded research, in-depth interviews, in phenomenological studies, you find even one small in the sense, how small? You may ask me a question. My answer is even one respondent, one interviewer, one researcher, one respondent can also be a qualitative research, and there are a number of cases of it. A good number of cases of it. Examples. So for data collection, you use questionnaire mostly. Many of you would have used for your quantitative research, scales and tests. But here in our case, it is interviews, observations, and documents. Most in-depth interviews will be there in our process. Okay. In the findings in quantitative research will be precise and numerical, whereas in our case it is comprehensive, detailed, descriptive. Findings will go for 20 pages. Don't mind about that. Okay, every single statement which we extracted from the respondent would be a finding. Very, very interesting finding will be there. Okay, and promised. That happiness will be there for you when you do go for a qualitative research, and many more things are there. And this, what is the level of involvement of the researcher? In quantitative research, you will be detached. Data is available in National Stock Exchange website, Bombay Stock Exchange website. You are sitting in KR College of Arts and Science. Using the internet, you collect the data. Not so. in qualitative research, we are going to be immersed, be in the sense a researcher will get himself immersed in the process. Okay. Say, for example, the behavior of, let's say, the stock traders. You will be involving with the stock traders, one or two, go to them to the trading floor, check how his trading practices are there, behavior changes. All these things can be done only if you get yourself immersed, involved in the data collection process. So the question format, I'm not going to all, the question format in quantitative research will be closed-ended, mostly closed-ended. In our case, it will be 100% open-ended questions, no closed-ended questions. Sorry, it will be open-ended questions. In quantitative research, data will be numerical. So, in our case, it will be textual. Mostly, you have to be statements, you have to write audio tape recordings, video recording, which can be rated, used for, ultimately when you present the thesis, it will be in black and white, right? So that can be converted and presented in the form of a research outcome. I'm sorry. This is the basic difference between the quantitative research and the qualitative research. Now, methods. What are the types of qualitative research that's available? I said the historical research can be undertaken, narratives can be there, in-depth interviews can be there, whatever it may be. The broader classification of our qualitative research is action research, case studies, phenomenology, ethnography, grounded theory, and content analysis. To begin with, I will start elaborating on action research because I'm going to explain, time permits, I will explain you, but my concentration will be on action research because I personally believe among the research methods, one of the most important or the two most important in our research, the qualitative research is action research and case studies. Okay, very, very important. I would even say you can take up a lot of activities on most of your case studies. And if you're a real serious researcher, want to bring out transformational change in the issues which you find in the businesses or whatever issues it may be, in such a case, you can take up action research. Or you want to just tell to the society explain the reasons behind a particular issue, and you can take up the case study method of research. All these quantitative research methods, as I said, it all started with the action research during the 1940s. Kurt Lewin, former MIT professor, first coined the term action research in 1944. Only 1944, let's say action research came into existence. Action research is part of qualitative research, one of the foremost component of qualitative research. And earlier it was used for mostly in social sciences, particularly in education. And I have given this graph particularly for you to understand how the transformation has happened from in 1970s, 80s, in 2000s, where slowly from the application of social sciences and education, the application of action research has moved to broader application, particularly for businesses and say in commerce and management aspects. Even corporates, government, NGOs mostly use action research. What is the action research? It is a systematic inquiry done by the researchers or the individuals in a natural setting, particular setting, to gather information and subsequently improve the issues in the natural setting and finally check how in action research. Say, for example, we have taken up health and oral health, or the teeth-related or tooth-related issues. In that a particular society of 30 households, 20 of them have oral health issues. And that particular 30 households is your sample size. when involving with them in the natural setting, what is the oral health practices they do, what is their hygienic practices, sanitary conditions, the eating pattern, all these things you are just checking. After a time, you understand that no, many of them are having comes the issue. You would have identified which toothpaste they are using, how many times they brush the tooth. All these things you have noted, you have quantified. I mean, you have narrated. Everything is part of the research. Everything is okay. Even that can be itself a thesis. Later, what you do, you bring some Siddha medicine. For example, I'm telling you, for analogy, for easy understanding, you give them one pack to each household. Okay, that is called the subsequently you are trying to improve the situation. That is called the action. That is why we call it as action research. You are doing research. Action is you are trying to bring in, impart some sort of change in the particular natural setting. Or you are asking the households, dear ones, you just use it for 1 month. This quantity will be sufficient for 1 month. Okay, let us see what happens. So that is the transformation. That is the action you have imparted there. Then after 1 month, you observe, or a few months, you observe what is the change that you are noticing in their oral health, hygienic practices, and come out with some conclusion and practice. This action is very, very, very important in qualitative research when you take up action research. You find unemployment among household women in a village. Poverty is there. Husband is going for work, say for example, farmer going for daily wage work. And say he's something of their livelihood, for daily livelihood they are managing. However, there is no improvement in the livelihood of the individuals. You are going there 2 months, 3 months, you are watching. You have documented everything. 1 year you have documented everything. You are a researcher, no doubt. What is the use? Yes, you went there. You saw they are poor. You observe the lifestyle of male. You observe the lifestyle of female. You also observe the living conditions of the children there. Exactly narrated. Good research. But as a researcher, what is your contribution to the locality? What is your contribution to the society, in the particular society? Which means here comes the importance of action research, for which I also give more and more of importance. Honestly, I give more importance for action research. Some sort of skills for train 15 ladies in a particular skill, which is possible from the say for example tailoring. Male, there are good number of communities, some sort of village, some sort of activity for the male. 1 month training, 2 months training. Then you once again you have to check. That is the action. What is the outcome of the action? How many of them really making money, and what is the change in the livelihood of the individuals, standard of living of the individuals after imparting the training? That is the holistic research which we are talking about in qualitative research. That is what is actually required. Just observing, manipulating the data, interpreting the data, bought data, source data, purchase data, this is not the actual research. The country expects quality research, which can be not totally ignoring the quantitative research, but which can be possible, which is really possible when you get involved in particularly action-based qualitative research. So, research is long-term relationship with the problem, which means he has to understand the actual issues in the society, increase the understanding of immediate social situation, assist the practical problem solving, and expands his scientific knowledge, performed collaboratively with the society for a change, understanding the change process in social systems, investigation of changes in the society, and then draw conclusion. This is the whole system involved in action research. I personally, though not for my thesis, though not for exactly for my own research advantage, I have tested action research in society. I noticed, documented several villages for them, not one, several villages. Not many, several villages. Imparted action in the locality, observed the changes, got satisfied that I spent my time in a meaningful research work in the society. That is why, not just for the college principal, or I mean, they ask for to talk on a topic. When we talk on a topic, we should have some experience, personal involvement, attachment in that. That's why I briefed an issue in a society. Okay, say for days earning, they pay tax mark shop and come back. That is the reason. Action. You are writing to the collector. You are gathering the village people, elders, sensitizing them, forcing them to come along with you to remove or relocate the task workshop. You've done it. Task workshop is not there. 1 month, 2 months. Without a task workshop in the locality, you are evaluating the process. What is happening? How is their, let's say, ignorance, whether they are, the poverty level has improved, whatever it is, you are evaluating. And based on this specific learning, you are creating an outcome. Yes, task workshop relocated the poverty level, the level of poverty, which means, let's say, you cannot say, for example, they're out of poverty. At least their day-to-day issues, it's resolved. Do you think it's a small contribution, small outcome which you have made? No. That is a policy research work for the entire state, for the entire country. So that satisfaction will be there for you. In fact, you are adding value to the entire state, to the government for that matter, to the policy makers by your small qualitative action research. Research cycle is, I said, the diagram which I showed you, the flow which I showed you, I'm just explaining now. You have to first diagnose the issue, the reason for poverty. Okay? You have to plan an action. What could be done to overcome poverty? You have to intervene. That is action. You have to intervene, providing job skills training, which requires a lot of involvement. That's why I always say, I always explain to my students and scholars, just because I'm motivating you to take up a qualitative research, don't agree because your guide says, your teacher says, no. Go only if you have some personal attachment towards the society, only if you have a mindset of social service, only if you have a mindset of very serious research, then you can take up qualitative. Otherwise, just go quantitative research, download some data, interpret the results, and take a PhD degree. No worries. No one is going to question you. But when you come for action research, particularly qualitative research, it requires a particular set of skills for the researcher. Mindset, involvement. If he's only a serious researcher, that's why, because he has to intervene. A lot of issues will be there, like job skills. Is it easy? No, it's tough, but he has to do that. Evaluate, which means checking whether they came out of poverty, and ultimately the specific learning, which means you have to document and summing up the whole outcomes which went on the whole 1 year, 2 year process. This learning outcomes should constitute knowledge contribution to both theory and practice, which means to your own PhD degree and to the government for policy making. Action research process, there are some few steps involved in the action research process. Correlate the differences. What was the data which you observed earlier, and then after the intervention, and publish your findings. How many of you will be ready to take up such a very, let's say, laborious task, but it's a real research? if I would not have created some interest so far in qualitative research, I'll be really failing in my duty in participating in this faculty development program. At least researchers, PhD research, who have completed your PhD so far, or you have opportunity for postdoctoral research, kindly take up uh, action-based, taking alcoholism, poverty only for explanation, only for analysis sake. Okay, you can take up such activities, such research, even for our own domain, business and commerce. So, what is the ideology, methodology, and strategy behind action research? Okay, ideology. It is action oriented. Basically, it is action oriented. So, to generate research knowledge as a scholar, improving social action as an activist. So now you in action research, though you are a research scholar, you should personally feel that you are an activist, you are a social activist, you are being a business activist, you are going to really contribute to something, change in the society or in the business setup. Like the ideology will be participative, collaborative, democratic, liberating, equally equitable, and empowering. When you do this action research, it can be participative, collaborative, democratic, liberating, equitable, empowering. In poverty skills, it will be empowering the female or the households. Okay? Now, one of this will be the major role in your research. Methodology will be flexible. I briefed this earlier also. It is not a, like say, fixed one. It is dynamic. You can keep changing according to the natural setting. Changes that emerges in the natural setting. Because the values and cultures of the participant researchers we are taking into consideration, but it is liable to change and it may require some flexible changes in your the research process. That's why we classify them as qualitative, problem solving, pragmatic, natural, and constructive. Okay, all these components are part of our methodology, which means thought of it as a large family, one in which relationships vary greatly. In 30 households in the locality, each 30 household will have different type of behavior, natural setting, their let's say income level, family size, everything may differ. So, lot of flexibility may arise in your research process. You have to be ready for that. The strategy of your research should be intervention oriented. Okay, what is the intervention? How we are going to intervene? That is very must. Without intervention, there is no action research. Development and renewal of the existing systems and structure. Okay, whatever it means, you have to break the situation. A lot of time, spend a lot of time, 1 year or so. You find something, you have to break that. You have to introduce a new thing in that particular natural setting, and you have to compare with the old one. That is your action research. So, the aim of action research is to affect and change the social reality. Some social reality is there. You have to affect and change the social reality. When you have a social problem like alcoholism, when government wants when teachers want to improve their practices, new strategy of teaching, say for example, did we thought about online FDPs, online convocation, online board of studies, online day-to-day classes? Have you ever online examination and online internal test? Did we ever thought of that before pandemic? This is a big intervention. Now you can do your research what happened earlier and what is happening now. So new strategies can be anything for them. Okay. And when you want to participate in research project, for example, researchers, you can take up research activities. So action research in terms of political appeal, research in terms of state-sponsored means of reforming the society. You have also take up research for governments and NGOs, university-led reforms, locally sponsored, let's say, systematic reform for marketing, production, sales, organization development, product development, any business issue, any management issues for that matter, there is always a solution which can be placed before the whoever seeks that through a qualitative action research. So with this exactly, it's 11:30 now. A lot of aspects to be covered in qualitative research. Actually, it's a one-day program which has to be organized. Definitely, when time permits, with God willing, I'll meet you virtually or face-to-face, and I'll also be available whenever you want guidance and support. If you are really interested in qualitative research, you can write to me. My email ID can be circulated by citizens. It's velmurugan@gmail.com. And my number you can take up. It's 9944115566. If you are really interested, you can talk to me at any time and take up your, let's say, advices. If you are really interested in qualitative research. Thanks for this wonderful opportunity offered to me by the College of Arts and Science, particularly the principal, the dean, and the coordinator of the student action. Thank you. Really grateful to you for your wonderful and patient listening. Thank you so much. Over to the principal and the coordinators.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation. Participants, you can ask questions. If you have any queries, you can ask. So shall we, sir? Shall we ask questions, sir? Sir, shall we ask questions, sir? If you have any
Yes.
queries.
Yeah. Proceed.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thing is that sir given very elaborate presentation on active research. Actually, people are very much interested in doing active research, sir. Thing is that PDF now postdoctoral fellowship. Can you guide us, sir, how we are moving towards that PDF?
Yeah, at any time, if you want to any guidance on your postdoctoral ambitions, you can contact me. Like say, as I said, my email ID should be circulated with you on my phone number. If you want to take up postdoctoral research at our home country or foreign opportunities, you can write to me. No issues.
Thank you, sir. Now I request our principal, sir, have a few words on dissertation, sir.
What? Request? Come again, madam.
Our principal is online, sir. Now I request our
Please. Yeah. I could see him. Good morning,
sir. Good morning, sir. Sorry, I hope a little bit late from my side also. Thanks for joining with us and enriching our minds in the research aspects. It's our one specialty, our college name itself, KPR College of Arts and Science and Research. It's a budding institution. Yes. This is our third year. But enormous amount of scope is there in our group itself because almost 24,000 women employees are working at various divisions, and moreover for
which group
the
is
KPR.
Textiles or what is it? Which is
textiles, garments, sugar, and automobile.
Very good.
And almost they are in all the major components. Agri formation is there. Mainly they are in the textile, remaining and all allied aspects. So the variety of scopes available for our faculties in our sister concerns itself. That's why whenever I am addressing our team, you don't want to we don't want to go for such a problem outside. All the problems are inside available. So like today's resource person, so we may have small inputs from outside also, how we may tab it and how to shape the research model in a different manner. Even some of the problems common for all, many agencies, they may expect our own research area. That too, the residing of the college also in Coimbatore and Tirupur, it's a midway. Almost Tirupur is a dollar city. So everywhere for all the operational areas of management as well as the functional areas of commerce. The problems are available. So we can easily meet all the entrepreneurs. So that's why even our model itself, we can try to take it as an institution, is a skill institution. Almost 50% we may concentrate on our theoretical aspects and university components. The remaining 50% we can go ahead with a win-win model, because every entrepreneur, they need solutions for their own problems. For other institutions, living along with entrepreneurs alone. So that is then blessings and positive environment.
I'm so happy that I introduced qualitative research to the right set of participants today. I'm so happy about it.
Correct, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for joining with us. Whenever time permit, always you are welcome, and invite our teacher and students friends also.
In fact,
thanks
I'm
for
so
joining.
happy for giving this opportunity. Thank the correspondent, administration, and principal for giving this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
We'll meet you.
Definitely. Thank you. At the same time, congratulations to Dean and School of Commerce for the last 1 week. Without tired, they are continuously the morning whole session. They are organizing an faculty development program with vibrant personality. So that is our gift for each member. They are very strong in their portfolio. So it's an anyway. The students are coming to campus after August 1st or 10th. Depends upon the condition. So till now we are keep on enriching ourselves. So that is an healthy academic exercise took by the School of Commerce. In this occasion, I would like to congratulate the Dean, Coordinator, and all our faculty team and HODs. They are utilizing this time in a very perfect manner. So congratulations, madam, and congratulations to all. And thank you. Then you can proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your motivation. And really, we had an excellent session on qualitative methods of research. Generally, we know about qualitative methods, but after this session, I hope everyone comes to know the importance of the qualitative methods and insist their scholars to do their research in action-based qualitative research. Thank you, sir. And now I request Dr. S.P. Srikala, Associate Professor. Sir, few minutes, sir. We are having questions, sir.
Good morning, sir. We are happy to receive a speech related to quantitative research. Usually, the people will take a quantitative research because we can do it simply tools and other things. We can cut, copy, paste, and whatever the data interpretation we can do it. But qualitative research is very difficult because we have to write more, no? So today we are having created the interest to make also to do the qualitative research. But I have only one information from you, sir. That is, you told that human behavior like those. Suppose, for example, if one student is staying in very rural or village area and they have come up in Coimbatore city and she has improved a lot. Suppose if I find out the behavior of that particular student, that employee, maybe for a lot, in the sense, which type of tools I can measure to find out the human behavior of that particular tools?
If I'm right, you are asking for me to suggest a tool, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, it can be a there is no need for action research. Tell your student to take up make it as a case study in the village he or she is there. It can be I would suggest it can be a case study. Case study is a tool for qualitative research. Yeah, if number of the sample size is too huge, tell her to reduce. Oh, tell her to reduce the sample size, and it can be a case study.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. S.P. Srikala, Associate Professor, School of Commerce, to propose vote of thanks. Ma'am, kindly.
Gratitude is the inward feeling of kindness received. Thankfulness is the natural impulse to express that feeling. Good afternoon, one and all present here. I deem it great honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of the School of Commerce. Let me first of all, start by giving thanks to Almighty for making today's occasion a resounding success. First and foremost, I thank our special chief guest, Dr. P.S. Leopoldin sir, Associate Professor and HOD, Dean in charge, School of Legal Studies, Central University of Tamil Nadu, who, despite his busy schedule, has found time to grace the occasion with his valuable speech about qualitative research, the purpose, advantage, and evaluation of qualitative research. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank our well-wisher, Dr. S. Balsami sir, Principal, KPR CAS, for his stewardship, support, vision, and commitment. Thank you, sir. I thank our Dean, Dr. Kumudha Devi ma'am, backbone of commerce, for her unstinted support. Thank you, ma'am. I will extend my gratitude to our program coordinator, Dr. Kartika, for her valuable contribution, guidance, and encouragement in all our efforts. Thank you, ma'am. I also owe my special gratitude to my dear friends who all have worked hard to ensure that this occasion become a memorable success. Last but not least, I thank all the distinguished invitees and Dr. N. Ganeshan sir and Dr. Prasad sir, former professor in NGM College, who with his presence graced the occasion throughout these days. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Once again, thank you, one and all present here. Thank you.
Thank you all for your participation. So, shall we end the session, sir?
Okay, ma'am. We will wind up.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining.